Hey everyone, I just got to see Pete's Dragon. And let's get one thing out of the way. Remaking Pete's Dragon was one of the strangest decisions that I think Disney's made all year. Mainly because I was never a big fan of the original Pete's Dragon. I know that it still has its fans, but for me I just found it to be slow and plodding and full of random decisions in the plot and the storyline. And even for the 70s, it wasn't exactly that much of an achievement in either animation or storytelling. So I just figured I'd plop it alongside the forgettable Disney films and that it would just never be remade again. But around the same time when I heard that The Jungle Book was getting a remake, I heard that Pete's Dragon was getting a remake, and I was wondering, since this trailer looks absolutely nothing like the original, maybe this could be a chance for Disney to redeem themselves. And you know what? It actually worked! Yes, this new Pete's Dragon remake is a very old-fashioned Disney film that's so remarkably old school and so remarkably whimsical that it's probably what the original 70s Pete's Dragon should have been. But anyways, let's get to the story. Our main character, played by Oaks Fegley, is Pete, who, after losing his parents in a car crash, he ends up surviving for 6 years in the woods with a green furry dragon that he names Elliot. 6 years after Elliot starts, becoming his friend, a park ranger named Grace finds him in the woods and decides to take him in alongside her boyfriend Jack, played by Wes Bentley, and her young daughter Natalie, played by Oona Lawrence. Unfortunately, Jack's brother Gavin, played by Carl Urban, wants to hunt down the dragon, tranquilize it, and use it for vague purposes. The storyline is actually very, very simplistic, but in my opinion the story works better here because there's more of a focus on it. The story is pretty old school and whimsical, but it works because it has that classic Disney charm. And even though the characters are fairly one-dimensional, like Pete's the generic good kid who's just out of his element, Grace is the typical kind-hearted park ranger, Jack's the supportive husband, etc. There's an inherent likability to these characters just based on the actors' performances. Personally, I'm the biggest fan of Bryce Dallas Howard and Oaks Fegley, but pretty much every single character is handled well. The reason this plot works is mainly just because the actors are so committed and the effects for Elliot, the dragon, work so well. Speaking of which, let's talk about those effects. Since this is a very small-scale movie, it's only about an hour and 30 minutes long, a lot of the emotional moments of the film pretty much relied on Elliot's effects. If Elliot doesn't work, then the movie goes along with him. Thankfully, though, Elliot looks unlike any other dragon put on film, with his big green furry body and his very expression-filled eyes. It makes every scene with him filled with emotion, wonder, whimsy, and fun. Though, I must ask, why do they have every single fantastical creature act like a dog in the Disney universe? I mean, first they had a human acting like a dog in Spot from The Good Dinosaur. Now they have Elliot, the dragon, acting like a dog. I'm not going to act like Elliot was the most realistic dragon back in the original, but he was more like a dragon than this Elliot. But, considering that this film is so enjoyable, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that Elliot looks, even though he doesn't look realistic, because how can you make a dragon look realistic, he still works well in this world, and he does act as a very good emotional centerpiece. Without any lines, Elliot can get across every single emotion that he's feeling, just based on the excellent motion capture and the great effects. Now, the problem with this film is mainly that the antagonist does not work. Basically, Carl Urban's character, Gavin, is just this guy who's Jack's brother, who never listens to Jack, and he wants to hunt down the dragon to get some fame off of it. And I will give props to Carl Urban for trying his absolute best with this performance, but the problem is there's really nothing else to Gavin, and he's too one-dimensional and very vague as a villain to really come across as threatening or even that interesting. Throughout the whole film, I was really wondering if Gavin would have a sudden turnaround, which he sort of kind of does as a sort of a heel-face turn, or that there would be someone else as the antagonist, but no, we're stuck with this friggin' guy. But, like I said, the effects, the acting, and the simple but whimsical storytelling work very well in this film, and it's probably the best possible version of an otherwise weird decision. Now that I hear that Disney is remaking films that I believe deserve a remake, like Beauty and the Beast, I'm actually really excited, and I was completely floored. When it comes to Disney's live-action remakes, they started off pretty shaky with Alice in Wonderland, but after seeing Cinderella, after seeing The Jungle Book, and now after seeing Pete's Dragon, these films might actually live up to their animated counterparts, and Disney might actually know what they're doing. So I have to say, bravo, Disney. If you can do this with Beauty and the Beast, I'm saying you can remake whatever film you want at this point. Oh yeah, the rating. I give Pete's Dragon an 8.5 out of 10. See you later.